it's a guy at Columbia who's calling a guy at Spotify to say, yo, I got this new Russ song. I think it'd be great for today's top hits. And then it's Spotify being like, I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, wait.
That's crazy, yeah.
And so I'm like, wait, you guys are getting told no.
Yeah.
I'll just get told no. Without having to cut you in. Like,
Right.
I'll just get told no. So
what am I sharing the profits in?
if you can get told no, makes no sense.
Exactly.
I'll keep 100% and also get told no.
What are the conversations you and Milan are having with the labels? What is this looking like at the time? And
It was funny, bro. I was a maniac. I knew what I was sitting on.
Yeah.
I knew what I was sitting on. Like I had There's Really a Wolf and I knew what it was. And keep in mind, right? So I'm doing all these label meetings like May, June of 2016. Cause like June is when I partnered with Columbia.
Yes.
So I'm making $100,000 a month. Kylie Jenner has posted my shit. I'm charting on iTunes. I sold out my tours. Like I have more tours booked. I have songs coming out as we speak, you know, like, and I'm sitting on a debut that I know is dumb and Losing Control of What They Want are going crazy.
Moving.
So
Bidding war?
Yeah. So I'm like, you know, I meet with everyone and I'm playing them the album and every song I'm like, it's a fucking Grammy, this a fucking plaque, this a plaque, this a plaque. Just crazy. And the mindset back then was I needed to level the playing field. The landscape was not what it is now. It was not as easy to just like, not that it wasn't as easy, it wasn't as obvious that you didn't need radio to be a big artist.
Right.
You know, because like I said, the context matters, right? Social context matters. Apple Music came out 2015.
Yes.
So this is 2016. It's not a thing. Spotify was not a thing like that. The streams were happening there, but like we weren't even looking.
No,
in
we
that
weren't
direction.
looking at that.
We're still looking at iTunes.
I remember looking at Spotify for the first time, and then around that time, 2014, 2015, I was like, these streams look like manipulated.
Yeah, it's just some weird shit.
Transparently,
Yeah.
Byron, who I co-managed Jesse with for all that time, he's the one that convinced me, like, yo, we need to put the Figures, her first song that we put out, that's the one that went crazy.
Great song.
And did the whole bidding war thing. He's like, yo, we got to put this on Spotify. Because in my head, I was like, no, SoundCloud. Let's go SoundCloud.
Yeah.
But he's like, and my thinking was, forget about trying to get people to pay to listen to just put it everywhere. But he's like, no, but there's like a free tier.
Yeah.
And there's somebody at Spotify in Canada that I know, Nate. Let's talk to him. And then it was like, oh, okay, now I'm starting to understand it. But you're right, that's the context.
I was like, bro, up until, I mean, even like 2017, 28, I was posting the SoundCloud link when I dropped music. Like the song was everywhere, but I did not promote anything but SoundCloud.
Crazy.
So I just wanted you to hear the song.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand like what playlists were, none of that.
Yeah.
So so we're talking to all the labels. And I have this crazy leverage. I'm sitting on an insane album, and it's a moving train. So they know with or without them, like I'm making $100,000 a month. What do you think it's going to be next month? You know, so it doesn't really matter what y'all are talking about. I'm moving. So me and Milan just wanted to go somewhere. Like I said, we had to level the playing field because it wasn't obvious that you didn't need radio to be a bigger star. You know, we're looking at every artist, Drake, everyone that we look up to, and we're like, they have radio, and everyone on radio signed. So I guess we got a partner. That was the complete thought process. It was not about anything else but radio. So we went with Columbia because Columbia at that time was a really tastefully curated label. It was Bob Dylan, it was Adele, it was Beyonce, it was Pharrell, and it was Tyler. Like that was kind of it. There wasn't a lot of competition as far as, well, if I go to Atlantic, who has 78 rappers, I'm not confident y'all are going to give my shit attention like that. Y'all got too much going on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I went with Columbia for that reason, and it paid off. And shout out to Imran. Shout out to Wes too. Imran gets the credit for signing me. Wes found my music and passed it to Imran.
Okay.
But shout out to Imran because Imran was, he was the A&R. He was my A&R.
Yeah.
And
for context, Imran is now president of Island.
Yes.
With
like
Justin.
Chappell Roan and Sabrina Carpenter and all that. But shout out to Imran because, man, when I partnered with them and I posted it on my Instagram and let all my fans know the day I signed the shit, I posted the video so that it was transparent. Like, okay, we leveled up. We're doing this now. I'm partnered with a major label.
No, you're partnered. Sorry, not signed.
Yeah,
partnered.
But I kept my entire TuneCore catalog.
How did you do that, bro?
They didn't have a choice. That was a non-negotiable.
You told them out the gate?
Yeah, told them out the gate. You can't touch this. I'm keeping my entire TuneCore catalog.
Yeah.
Or I'm not doing the deal.
Right.
And
were there other labels when you said that they're like, okay, we're not interested?
No, they were all with that because they knew the amount of output I was willing to give, and like they knew that I wanted to put Losing Control, What They Want, Pull the Trigger, and Do It Myself on the album. I was down to do it.
So as a part of the
so they
deal.
knew like what was about to happen.
Yeah, got you.
So I kept that entire back catalog, and this is where I give big credit to Imran and the other people at the label were pushing back on this, but he would just always get them over the hump. But I was like, bro, I got to keep dropping though, consistent. Like after signing, I was like, I got to keep dropping. Like we'll do the debut album after this shit gets like dumb big, but I got to keep dropping between now and then. So this is like June, July 2016. And the conversation was really like, me dropping songs consistently still is going to make me, the artist, Russ, bigger, which is going to make the debut album that we split the profits on bigger. So it doesn't matter. The other just point of just like common sense shit was like, look, guys, you don't want me to put these songs out on TuneCore because now I'm in a deal with y'all, but you also don't want to spend money on the songs. And so if you don't want to spend money on the songs, then you don't get to have the songs. If you want to split the profits on these songs that I'm just trying to put out in the interim between, signing and putting out the debut, then you got to spend money on it. And if you don't, what do you care? I'm not asking you to give me $100,000 for Psycho Part 2 and then you don't get to participate in the profits. I'm just saying you're not trying to spend money on it anyway.
Right.
So let me rock.
Okay, so let me understand this. So you're putting these records out on TuneCore while you're partnered up with Columbia.
Yeah.
Columbia's not sharing in the revenue of the records that you're putting on in TuneCore?
No.
Did you have that in the paperwork prior to, or did you just convince them while you were in?
It was just, it was like a convinced thing. That's what, like, Imran was just the man.
And how do you know he's getting pushback? He's telling you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was Rob Stringer at the time, right?
I love Rob Stringer, man. Yeah, that was Rob Stringer.
Yeah.
They were just, I think as a company in general, they were all cool with it. They believed in me. It was a rare deal. Like I'm putting out Psycho Part 2 on TuneCore after signing and it gets 1 billion streams.
Yeah.
And that's on my TuneCore.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's fucked. Even like, there was a bunch of songs in the interim that I was able to just put on
market
TuneCore.
share, which is all the shit that they.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a crazy situation. So then the debut came out as a wrap.
Yeah.
But even after that, in between, I would still like push it out on my TuneCore, or sometimes I'd be like, all right, yeah, we can do this one together. But they were just real flexible with that.
Yeah.
There was only one time I was in Germany. I just done a festival and I just wanted to rap and bar up. And I dropped a song called The Game in the middle of the night on my TuneCore. And like no one at the label knew. And I like show up to the label like the next week and like Rob Stringer is there and Ayala, who I love.
Ayala. She's the one that connected us. So.
Yeah, Ayala, Imran.
Shout out Ayala.
And Rob is like, you can't just drop songs. Like, we're a multi-billion-dollar label. You can't just.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, my bad. I'll give you a heads up next time, but I'm still going to drop it.
I'll give you 24 hours notice.
Yeah.
Milan's going to call 24 hours ahead of time, send you an email.
Exactly. That it's going on
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It was a good situation. I don't have a horror story with the labels. It just got to a point. It got to a point where the juice wasn't worth the squeeze because the reason why I signed, I quickly learned that, you guys can get told no too.
Explain that some more.
So I signed thinking that, once you sign, your song goes on radio. Mm-hmm. Once you sign, your song will go in these playlists and then I learned that it's people behind all these companies. And so it's a guy at Columbia who's calling a guy at Spotify to say, yo, I got this new Russ song. I think it'd be great for today's top hits. And then it's Spotify being like, I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, wait.
That's crazy, yeah.
And so I'm like, wait, you guys are getting told no.
Yeah.
I'll just get told no. without having to cut you in. Like,
Right.
I'll just get told no. So
what am I sharing the profits in?
if you can get told no, makes no sense.
Exactly.
I'll keep 100% and also get told no.
Right.
You know what I mean?
At what point are you discovering that and you're like, all right?
2019, but it was also like changing CEOs and it just wasn't a good alignment, good fit.
Okay.
I wanted to dip,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, I wanted to just get out of there. And so I just bought myself out the deal, paid him 1.5, dip.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What's that conversation like with your lawyers, with Milan?
It was rare even for them to let me walk because I still had an album
Right.
left. And I was coming off of having my first number 1 at radio, funny enough. Via the
shit.
label. Best on Earth went number 1.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, yeah, I want to dip though. They're like, what?
Well, we did the thing that you
yeah,
said
we
you want.
did what you want.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, it's too late. Because at that point, it just wasn't a good relationship, you know,
Yeah.
with some people there. So I was just out, you know.
Yeah. So you would say then if somebody's going to go and do a label situation today, which
Yeah.
they're not signing artists like they used to anymore because they're like,
Yeah.
you know, hundreds of people got laid off in the major labels
Sure.
and those frontline artists they're not signing them anymore because they're focusing on catalogs
Yeah.
like yours
Yeah.
now,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Legacy, I guess, is what
Yeah.
it's called. But if you were going to go to a label, would you at least say like, hey, if you're going to go to a label, have leverage?
Yeah. Mandatory, you have leverage.
Yeah. Profit splits?
Have leverage. Profit split is mandatory. Something non-exploitative, you know. What I mean by that is make it a 3-album deal. And
Right.
make sure they have release commitments.
Yes.
The release commitment
Yes,
shit
that's
saved me
everything.
too. Because I don't give a fuck how y'all feel about me at the label. You got to put my shit out because it's in the
Yes.
contract.
Yes.
And in fact, you got another month.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
100%.
The release commitment is real and the reversions, you know?
Yep.
So like for me,
What's a reversion for those who don't?
meaning you guys can participate in the profits, but after 10 years, no, you can't.
Right.
And it all goes back to me.
Correct.
So like right now, those 3 albums that I did with Columbia, we still split 50-50 on, which like I'm okay with. Y'all fucking put up millions and millions of dollars in my pocket in advances, you know, I get it. And I think it's wild that I can even like get 100% of this shit back in, you know, what's it, 2025, in 2030. Losing Control is going back on my TuneCore.
Oh, that's right, because you left at 2020. So
Yeah,
it's 10-year reversion
which is
from the day you
crazy.
left. Yeah. Time flies.
Like losing Control back on my TuneCore is nuts because it still goes like platinum every year.
Every year. That's going to be diamond in a couple of years.
I think it'll be diamond, yeah, like end of next year.
Wow. Yeah, it's incredible. And so that goes back on your TuneCore.
TuneCore.
I saw, on that note, you did an interview with Steve Stout. Steve Stout's the founder of United Masters.
Yeah.
Obviously, just a legend in the game.
Yeah.
He was in the agency world for a little bit. Wrote that book, Tanning of America. If you've never read that book, read that book. It's a good one.
Okay.
But in that interview, you said, I'm on Operation Tell All the Game.
Yeah.
I'm going to show everybody that I'm going to make $1 million in a month, and you got to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
You at that point?
I've made $1 million a month, yeah.
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? How did you, I guess it's a combination of everything we've talked about, but.
It's a combination of catalog.
Yeah.
It's a combination of catalog and putting out a song at the beginning of the month that does damage. And you know what I mean? To get to the like million in a month.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But at a certain point, my catalog is going to get so big where it's just going to cruise at $1 million a month.
It leads me to another thing.
And by the way, I'm only talking about master side.
Exactly.
Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm talking about $1 million in a month off the master.